Hey there, thanks for watching. This video is part of a collab brought to you by Julia, who is the brains behind City Girl Living on a Budget. I will link everyone's channel who is participating down below. And this video is all about how to stay organized. So this is something I actually have a thing or two to say, although none of what I'm saying is original. You've heard it before. It's super helpful and super useful. I'm going to tell you how I implement that, which may be a little bit different than how other people have implemented that or explained it in the past. So I have 3 tips. My number 1 tip is to write it down. And I always, let me not say always, I am I'm almost never without a journal to write things down in, just to like take notes throughout the day, because I am someone that if I write it down physically with a pencil, I am more likely to remember it than if I just, type it down and type it or use notes in my phone. I do use notes in my phone, but I find that paper and pencil is like the number 1 best tool ever across the board. I also use a planner, and that is super helpful as well. I've done a couple videos talking about how I plan my week. It's with the calendar on one side and the notes on the other side. And this system has worked really well for me for the past 5 years. And it's continuing to work well as well when I actually do it. So I use a calendar and then a separate notebook for taking notes, and they work together. I find that they work together really well. The calendar I hadn't been carrying around with me, but I'm going to start. I mean, I go back and forth on whether or not I have it in my bag as part of an everyday thing that I carry. I think that it does help because I also fill it in retroactively, meaning if I haven't had time to fill in the week before, I'll do that when I do have time because it helps to be able to look back. And that, for me, is super valuable as a way to stay organized for the future and say, okay, around this event, I had a lot of things going on and I forgot about this and I needed to do that. And so going forward, I can say that helps me to be organized for the future and say, these are things that I should take into account coming up. So that is tip number 1, is definitely write it down. Tip number 2 is a 2-minute rule. So I don't know about you, but sometimes tasks tend to pile up and I'll get overwhelmed thinking about all the things that I have to do. A way to avoid that or cut down on that is to say to yourself, if a task can be done in 2 minutes, do it immediately. This is something I heard, I want to say maybe 3 years ago. I just in kind of my everyday content, someone mentioned that doing things that can be done within 2 minutes immediately helps them from piling up, helps them to stop piling up. And that's absolutely the case. For example, this morning, as I was getting ready, I saw some garbage hadn't quite made it into the trash can. And so I stopped and I picked up that garbage and put it right into the trash can. Things like scheduling an appointment or texting someone back, calling someone back, things that will reasonably take about 2 minutes, do them immediately. Do not let them pile up. Other things like laundry, for example, is another thing that does tend to pile up. And there's like a separate sort of a system for doing that I have that kind of helps me to stay on top of it. But so the 2-minute rule, do it immediately. And that's my 3rd tip, leads me into my 3rd tip, which is do it now. Don't wait, don't procrastinate, don't sort of take your time, don't sit on things. Because the more you sit on things and procrastinate, the more things pile up that need to be done, and the more overwhelmed you feel when you have all these things that need to be done. So tip number 3 is get it done right now. So talking about the laundry, for example, I tend to finish, it used to pile up and I used to get really frustrated. And I actually watched a video by Terry Savelle Foy in which she talks about her mom and how her mom was raising 3 little kids, and she would always have she had this one room where laundry would just pile up. And she said she heard there were all these other things happening in her life and they weren't gaining traction. She said she heard a word from God that told her just 3 words, and those 3 words were finish your laundry. And it's true, because she used to just let it sit in the bedroom, and instead of folding it, people would just go in and take what they needed. So that word was go in, actually finish the task, get it folded, and put the clothes away as part of what you need to do to move forward. So I took that to heart, and I'm thinking, okay, especially with things like laundry, keeping things clean, tidying up, do it now, don't wait. So with laundry, I try to, as soon as it comes up, as soon as it's out of the dryer, I try to fold it and put it away immediately. And that, I've got it down to a science. Like, that's like, my thing is I can do it in about 3 minutes. Or excuse me, I can do it in about 10 minutes. So I can do an entire basket, fold it in 10 minutes, and I'll treat myself to like a video or something that I'll let myself watch while I'm folding, and it's just kind of a mindless repetitive task, so I can get it done pretty quickly. So I hope that these 3 tips have given you some sort of hint for organizing and have been helpful. If you have any questions, or if you would like to share your best tip for staying organized, I'd love to hear it. Leave it down in the comments below. And thank you for watching. I hope you'll keep watching.